Now, that was a good way to start off the day. Amy and I and Ollie and Addie opted to, Addie, she can't talk, so she didn't know. I voted for her. We decided to come to Cleveland last night. Oh, we got to exit here. Decided to come to Cleveland last night and get here at 12 and sleep the whole night rather than get up early and drive here from Ontario. You never know when you're going to miss the boat or miss the lineups are going to be long at the border. Anyway, we decided to come last night, which was good because there wasn't a lot of drivers at Northfield today because it was sloppy. It was disgustingly muddy. Track was still decent with a lot of muck on top. Now, which was a little concerning because we had made some changes with Compass Rose DC, changed her footwear and put flip-flops on her up front. I want to touch on that in just a minute. And then we had given her a hot shot. A hot shot is it's a shot of Ludolice, right? Ludolice, which brings them into season if the horses, and it will knock any of the cysts off their ovaries, I believe, right? And what was found after Compass Rose DC's race, all of you could see that she was uncomfortable. She had a big cyst in her on her ovaries. Now we had a number of people say, well, can't you check those? Can't you? We can check everything, right? But at the end of the day, it's like getting a flat tire on the road and saying, why didn't I inspect my tires every time I leave the house? Because you don't. And Compass Rose DC had been racing good. We had no reason to believe there was any issues with this cyst. And it's not something that's common, super common. It's common, but not like that. You can really hear it now. David Bolus is watching this video, and he said, your tires, there's something wrong with my tires. I thought it was the bearings or something, or hubs. What the hell do I know? I don't know anything about cars. So, it is noisy though. So Compass Rose DC didn't race good in the final, made an unfortunate break, and somebody had emailed me yesterday, a good friend of ours, and said, we had found some things wrong with knockdown dragout after the qualifier. The qualifier was on me. I shouldn't have qualified her. Even though she trained good in the middle of the week, I should have waited, just to make sure, and I didn't. Now, the only saving grace of the qualifier was I got a little angry and put the headgear on her she should have had on from the start. Whether she didn't like it or not, she wore it. And she was a little frustrated with it, but she did her work much better with that headgear on. And people always ask, and it's a fair question, why didn't you do this stuff to begin with? Well, when you get a horse training down as talented and as fast as Knockdown Dragout and looking as good, you'll give them a wide berth, right? You don't want to agitate them. So we allowed her to be a little aggressive because it felt like it was manageable. We tinkered a little bit with her bits in New Jersey, but she was still a little ornery, a little hot. A lot of that came from ailments, things that were minorly bothering her. And somebody had said, well, if you knew her feet were sore, why didn't you address it? Well, we did address it. We shocked her feet. We worked on the quarter crack. We shocked her feet. We blocked them. Now, when she came back to Canada, we had changed her footwear to something a little more comfortable. Still, we took her to the vet yesterday, and her feet were very, very sore. So it's something, it appears it could possibly be a chronic issue with the Sebastian K's. Now, these are all treatable. Compass Rose DC's feet were killing her. We changed her shoes. She qualified in the mud today. She should have been able to get a hold of the track very well with that footwear, yet she went out and qualified in 58-2 in the slop and obliterated the field. Looked like $1 million. An H-Torse got up alongside her in the last turn. She dusted him down the lane. He made a break. But she looked very, very good. And circling back to Knockdown Dragout, you can't, it isn't like, you hear a noise in your car and you just turn the radio up. That isn't what we did, but we can't investigate every horse every single day. These are athletes. Sure, they can't talk, but Knockdown Dragout trained in 2 minutes last half and 57 last week. I had no reason to think. I thought we were on the right track. I thought we were making headway. And then when I rolled up in behind the gate at Mohawk the other day, I'm like, oh no. She was really hot, agitated like she was the previous starts before that. But the changes we made to her foot, to her headgear, and then in turn going to see the vet yesterday, we learned a lot about a lot of the things. This is an entire summer where these feet have been bothering this filly. Now we can go even further. We can sometimes if the white lines of their feet are down close to the heads of the nails, they bother them. We can glue her shoes on. We can put flip-flops on her rather than razor pads that we have now. All these things are available, but it's a process. You can't just put one on, go out and go a quarter mile with them and say, nope, that doesn't work, and put another one on. It doesn't work that way. So it's inch by inch. And I understand when people say, why didn't somebody see this? Why didn't you see that? I get that, because it's a very honest and fair question. But these things take time, and it's a process. And I know nobody likes to hear all these things take time. That's a bunch of bullshit. Sorry, Alec. But it's not. It's the truth. It's the truth. And that's how you usually work through these things. Knockdown drag, not to say the problems we found yesterday are the problems that were causing her breaks all summer. That's not the case. These could be symptoms of another another couple of lingering problems that she has. Keep in mind, this is the one thing we have to step back and keep in mind is these are babies. They're 2-year-olds. We had another gentleman say he wasn't happy with the progression of his horse, and there's lots of blame to go around. Sure, we can play the blame game. It's this guy's fault. It's that guy's fault. It's Compass Rose DC. It's her female issues. You should have known that. It should have been treated. And you guys can. It's hard to explain how complex it is to train sometimes. Sometimes it's very easy. Feed the horses, jog the horses, put them in to go. Other times, it is very nerve-wracking and very stressful. And I'm well aware. I give everybody a wide berth because this is your money, right? People have bought these horses with their money. I get that. But at the same time, the people we have hired, the people that work in the barn, very professional, very diligent people. And at the start of the summer, it was, Mario's not doing that good. What's wrong with Mario's barn? Mario's got a whole bunch of horses that are contenders in the grassroots and the stake series. We can complain because they're not in the golds. Simply not gold horses right now. Capistrano had a great start to the season. She was sick the other night and raced poorly. Doesn't mean that Harry did anything wrong. But at the end of the day, the pressure that comes with training horses is still upon the trainers. I try to alleviate that by answering all the questions for our clients because that's important. It's important that you understand what is going on in the barn. But at the end of the day, I think we do a pretty good job. For the people that don't think we do a good job, to each his own. You can do as you wish. You don't have to be a part of the stable if you don't want to. If you don't feel that we're deserving of your time and your money, then by all means, we shouldn't have it. But I can say, from somebody that deals with everybody on a regular basis, looks at the horses we purchased, the horses we trained down, the results that we've got in every jurisdiction, I think we've done a pretty good job. So that leads into where we're going next. On our way down to the sale, we have a ton of horses to look at, a lot going on. I think it's not fair. I didn't mention Susie K, how well she went.
Yeah, a little bit. But...
Yes went a mile 57-1. Now Chris Lems went with Yes. Good driver, does a good job. There wasn't anybody around anyway, so we were lucky that Chris Lems was there. Chris Lems went with Yes. He was fantastic. 57-1, wrapped up in the mud, obliterated the field, probably went a long way for this horse's confidence. I think he'll go a big, big mile in Delaware. And then Susie K needed that mile. She had to go a mile in 2-1, I think. 2-1 in the mud. It was a good mile for Susie K. Considering Compass Rose DC went a mile in 58-2, I think Susie K going in 2-1 or so was very, very good. So, that's today. We're going down the road to the sale. I sent out 2 videos. The first one was the start of the week, explaining to everybody the horses I liked. Those were what I called yesterday the low-hanging fruit. A lot of people are going to fall in love with the horses we picked on the first week. So I'm left looking, saying, I'm not going to waste my time, come down here and overspend for a bunch of horses. So let's assume we can get those horses. There's that list. There's about 25, 26. There was 13, but there was a number that didn't have videos when I made that list originally. I left the list at 13 with these other also eligibles, if you will. On there, there's about 13 or 14 of them also. So let's say, for all intents and purposes, that the first list was 25 horses long. Pretty small list, for the most part. We're going to look at a number of other horses that we like, so that's fine. Next is another list. And what I easily called that was the horses that weren't by Uncle Peter. She went a mile and 2-1-1 was her last quarter.
There's a mobile speed camera ahead.
She was only 2-year-old.
How fast was last quarter? 30 and 3. Ollie, that's back there, honey. You already got someone. Last quarter in 30 and 3, mile and 2-1-1. Good mile. Anyway, the second list was a list. How much did I give the track? Should be varying somewhere. The next was a list I said was jokingly, was horses that weren't Uncle Peter's. There's a number of good sires down here that maybe didn't get a lot of good mares, maybe didn't get a chance. I give 1 second to the track, at least 1 second.
Just went 56.
Yep. So we had some Break the Bank K's on there. We had a couple of Southwind Spirits on there. We had Wishing Stone on there. I'm missing one also. Very important. Break the Bank K, Wishing Stone, Southwind Spirit. Anyway, I don't have it in front of me. I'm missing one. There's a number of good sires on there that I thought the yearlings were interesting. Very interesting. So we're going to take a look at everything. Remember, and I had a conversation with a good friend of mine that owns horses, a lengthy conversation over the last day or so about what the stable stands for, why we shop in the way we do, and what it means. And it's really hard for people in the industry that have been in the industry, especially people that have invested in the industry a long time, to understand what we talk about when we talk about entertainment, when we talk about the experience of horse racing, training the horses down, what we do at the stable with the drones and the emails and the constant videos. It's hard for them to understand. I don't think it's hard for them to understand. It's hard for them to grasp how that feels to an everyday person. And the argument from inside the industry is fine. You know, I don't think you've done good enough in the last 3 years to sustain the amount of people you have. Of course, over 3 years, if you don't have a good horse, people are probably going to walk away. They're probably going to say, it's not for me this year. But hopefully they'll come back. You know, if we treat them good, we give them an opportunity to do well in the industry and it just doesn't work out. The whole point is that, one, they got to experience a great game. They got to experience watching the horses train down. They got to experience the bad side and the good side. Hopefully good training days and bad training days. Hopefully they got their picture taken, even if it wasn't in a stake race. And if they lost some money, didn't put them in the poorhouse. That's one thing this industry could never guarantee before the stable, was that you might be a loser. You might lose. You might not win. But you won't lose all your money. And that's the point of the stable.ca. I know I get off track a little bit, but I always find myself trying to explain this to people in the industry and they don't understand it. And they might come back and say, yeah, I get it, but you don't. Because you always revert back to the 3 letters that everybody talks about in this industry when they get angry. ROI, return on investment. This is not an investment stable. Never has been. There are people that probably invest some money thinking we're going to make money, and they may make money. I don't know. But that isn't why we built the stable. We built the stable for people to use their entertainment dollars, their disposable income, and say, this is something new for me and my family to experience. Come out to the barn or talk to me on email or on the phone or text. Watch your horses train down. Hopefully watch them qualify good. Be great if they would race well. If you happen to have a winning horse, heaven forbid a stakes winning horse, well, that's just the best time you're going to have in this industry. And as I always put it, for a fraction of what it would cost you to have even remotely the same entertainment in the general public. So people might scoff at that, laugh at that, the people in this industry, they just don't understand how the industry is actually built, at least in the 21st century. We all know how hard it is to make money in this game, but by now, a little over 700 people at least know how easy it is to have fun in this game. It's not always fun when you're losing, but you're not always losing. So, anyway, we're off to the sale. We got, I had set, I would say it's about 5 minutes per video. 5 minutes? No, it'll be about 2 minutes. 2 minutes per video. But I have to find the horse, pull it out, record it. Let's say we spend an hour and a half full of recording. That's 40 horses. It's not going to happen, though. I would say I'll have 20 videos for you tonight. 20 videos for our clients tonight to look at for horses that are tomorrow. This will be some of the low-hanging fruit. This will be some of the periphery, the outside of the sale, the outside of the industry as we like to move around in. Some of them will be horses that are flyers. Yes, your horse is very low-hanging fruit. So, we'll talk about that one later. Anyway, it's been a great start to a great day. Even though it was a crappy track and it was muddy, I felt fantastic going under the wire with Compass Rose DC, watching Yes go under the wire in 57, and then little Susie K getting her work done. It's going to be a great day today. It's going to be a great day this weekend. Many of you don't know this because I haven't made a big deal about it, but we will be at the Morrisville sale. Danny O'Brien is there for us looking at 4 horses I have picked out of the 55 that are in the sale. Really, Blue Chip is racing for $225,000 in New York. Going to be a tough road ahead for her. I just hope for some luck from the racing gods and a tough mile for really blue chip. Dig down deep for one more start. She's been a good filly at the start of the season and really tailed off. I think she's tired. So we'll see how she races on Saturday, and then she'll be put away for the season. Arctic Force somehow, some way, drew into the consolation, sitting at about 36th overall. Drew into the consolation, drew the 7-hole. I'm a little embarrassed. I was so certain he wouldn't draw in that I had made other plans where I have to go pick my daughter up at her grandmother's place. I can't go and drive Arctic Force. So John McDonald worked for me about a decade ago. Many of you that watch racing know that John McDonald's perennial leader around the Vernon area, does a great job in Pompano in the winter, just does a good job overall. Recently won his 4,000th Thrive. I saw that on Facebook. John McDonald, good friend of mine, is going to drive Arctic Force on Sunday. Anyway, that is it. A lot has already happened today, but a lot more is going to happen this evening. We're going to try and get these videos out to you guys starting around 7 o'clock, and you should have plenty of information for the sale tomorrow in Ohio.